Mr. Nick. Thank you so much for having me here. I cannot tell you guys how many connections Nick has made for me and our business. So he is a networking mastermind. Yeah, thanks again for having me here. I'm gonna kind of go very quickly through my slides about Amazon Japan. It would normally take a bit longer than 10 minutes, but I'll just do like a quick run through. So let's, who's talking? Yeah, I'm an e-commerce consultant and the founder of DefDevice, who has been an entrepreneur since 2000. I sold my private label business in 2019, and since then, I'm helping other Amazon sellers and e-com brands to grow. The Japanese culture, I find it fascinating. I mean, we don't have to like go into every single facet of it, but the Japanese culture is so different from like what Western people are used to. So there's a lot of things which are not. It's good to just take note of those. Like, for example, this respect and etiquette. So they have a very strong emphasis on politeness, respect, and hierarchy. Then there's this group harmony thing, where Japanese people like value group harmony and have this emphasis on collective well-being over individual desires. Traditional arts and ceremonies are very strong. Then this concept of saving face, you know, where it's a critical part of Japanese culture, avoiding embarrassment, confrontation. That's also a very significant part. Then we have this appreciation for seasons, like there's this the cherry blossom season and other things which are also very dominant. And then last but not least, the anime. So even in the West, we are familiar with anime, which actually stems from the English word animation. So these are all like parts to be aware of, that how like Japanese people are slightly different set up in their culture. And then, of course, the most important part is the language itself. It took me a while to figure out that they actually have 4 different scripts. So there is there's this kanji, which is borrowed Chinese characters. Then we have hiragana, the native Japanese script, katakana, which is used to describe Western words. And then they actually also use English. So just imagine what this means for keyword research. Yeah. So if we just one word like Tokyo can be written in 3 completely different words. And if you just look at them, and if you don't speak Japanese, you would have no clue that these 3 words actually all mean the same thing. And there's a similar thing for keyword research. So we have to be like we have to pay a lot of attention to how words can be written in very different words, even though they mean something similar. Public holidays, again, a big difference in Japan and the US. So I remember the first time we wanted to start Christmas sales and realized there's no such thing as Christmas in Japan. So it's also something to take note of. This is just like the hierarchy of relevance of holidays in Japan and the US. Just a few numbers to just give you the big picture. So the population in Japan, 123 million. They have a serious disposable income. Less than 30% of Japanese people speak English. But the ethnic group in Japan, like 98% of Japanese people are actually Japanese. Which like very different to the US, where surprisingly the Germans are the biggest ethnic group. I didn't know that. Average age is 49 years old. The largest city, Tokyo, is double the size of New York, and we have like 100 million users of on Amazon, which makes it the 4th biggest marketplace, Amazon marketplace. In Japan itself, Amazon is actually the biggest e-com marketplace with almost 600 million visitors per month. Then we have Rakuten, Yahoo, and the other ones. Here again, compared to the US, where we have, again, Amazon as the first, but the rest of the list looks very different. Okay, so let's look at the opportunities. The obvious one, Amazon is the 4th biggest Amazon marketplace with 123 million people. We have a high GDP per capita, a strong economy, disposable income. We have a strong affinity to online shopping. So people don't have to be taught to buy online, which is like a global thing right now, I guess. And we have appreciation for Western goods. So when you have a brand that is established as a Western brand, so to say, it is actually an advantage, and people do appreciate these Western brands. Proximity to China. If you manufacture in China, shipping time and shipping cost will be a fraction compared to shipping time and cost to US or Europe. If you have a US listing or a European listing and you kind of start selling in Japan, you can actually carry over your existing reviews, which can be a huge advantage. So if you have an established listing on another marketplace and you use the same ASIN in Japan, you will actually see all your reviews showing up in Amazon Japan, which can give you like a huge head start compared to like having to start from scratch and 0 reviews. And of course, you can get ahead of your competitors. So if your competitors currently are not selling on Amazon Japan, maybe that's another reason to be the one who gets started first and gets a head start. Then, of course, we have some challenges. I kind of love this little image here that I put together. It's just like putting together magazine covers of Japanese magazines, which gives us an impression like how different the media landscape looks in Japan. And this also kind of reflects on what we do in our listings. So there is this interesting discrepancy, like this conflict between the Zen word, the Zen thing and the minimalism. And on the other hand, we have this like really crowded media design landscape. So this is something which we should also reflect on when we create our listings. So the keyword research, obviously the language, we have to reflect on that. How we create our visuals, our infographics should be reflecting this Japanese essence as well. Then we have import regulations. So there are certain categories which are restricted, and we need to undergo lab tests in Japan in order to be able to import these goods. So of course, on top of the list are food-related products, everything we can ingest, and then everything that touches food, like cutleries, even water bottles, need to be tested in labs before we can bring them in. Driving external traffic, which is kind of a no-brainer in Western countries, can be a bit of a challenge because now you cannot simply use, your existing brand website or social media presence. You actually have to translate these things into Japanese as well, and this one can be a bit of a challenge as well. Other topics to consider is like trademark approval. So it's good to have your trademark approved in Japan with the Japanese authorities to get your brand registry. An importer of record is mandatory. So you need a third party who will actually import your goods. And then also something to think about are your packaging and inserts. So if your product needs instructions, and then you should consider to localize them as well. So the quick roadmap to get started would be first what I would do if I had an established brand right now in the West and I would consider starting in Japan. I would first do my market research, identifying all the relevant keywords, checking sales volume, pricing, and review count in Japan, and see how this kind of compares to what I'm doing right now in the US, for example. Then, of course, we need to make sure that our products can be imported. So find out if we need to comply with any regulations. And then check if my trademark was available. So we can go to this platform called Platpat and just check if you can register in our category for our trademark. And that would be when we kind of check all these 3 boxes, we are good to go. And then we can get started. We can find an importer of record. We can also use a 3PL partner. start creating our listings and inventory, set up PPC campaigns, and start working on our off Amazon presence. So yeah, that was the high-speed run through my Amazon Japan thingies. If you need some help and advice with it, you can simply scan this QR code or send an email to Dano at DefDevice.com. Thank you very much.